in a country far, far away, there was a father who had 3 daughters. And he was not a wealthy man. And so he did not have a dowry. He had 3 daughters, and he did not have a dowry for any of them. And back in those days, that wasn't a good thing, because guys are looking for the dowry too. They're not only looking for the wife, but they're looking for the dowry. And so if you had a good dowry, you've got a better chance of having your daughters marry into a good family. So this father was so destitute that he was actually considering having to sell his daughters into prostitution in order to make ends meet. Well, a certain stranger heard of this. When he heard of this story, he knew that he was not going to allow that to happen. And so one day, the father found a bag of gold in a stocking at the base of his chimney, because you hung your stockings there so that they can dry out and warm up after their use. And there was a bag of gold. And what that meant was that he now had a dowry for his first daughter. Sometime later, another bag of gold came down the chimney, and it fell in a shoe, because you put your shoes and your socks by the chimney to warm them up and dry them out after being used. So now he had a dowry for 2 of his 3 daughters. And so the first one had married into a wonderful family, the great guy, and now his second daughter was going to have the same opportunity, that he would have that additional resource to sweeten the pot, as it were, and attract a really wonderful man for his second daughter. And she got married. And then, sometime later, yet another bag of gold was found in a sock or a shoe. Can't remember which one this was, but anyway, one of the 2. And that was going to allow this father to have a very lavish dowry for his third daughter as well. And hence she was able to marry into a very nice family with a very wonderful man. Well, needless to say, this father was known in the community and was known to not be the richest guy in town. And yet these gifts had appeared. And the man was so grateful. Can you imagine? I'd be pretty grateful if, and I got a chimney, so, I'll put some socks there, man. It's a bag of gold, welcome anytime. And this gentleman was very, very grateful. And he started asking around, who did this? I would like to thank whomever it was who gave me this amazing gift that then became an amazing gift to my daughters. Meanwhile, the person who did bestow these gifts made it very clear that he wished to remain anonymous. But needless to say, after having done this 3 times, as well as other random acts of kindness and generosity, his identity was ultimately revealed. And I'll bet you know who this person is. Yes, he was. Now known as St. Nicholas. At the time, he was a monk. And he ultimately became a bishop and was renowned for his kindness and his generosity. Now, during the Renaissance, his story kind of got muddled and pushed aside. And then after, it started having a resurgence. So here's some fun facts about St. Nicholas, stuff that even I didn't know. We all know that St. Nicholas was a patron saint of children. Do you know that he was also the patron saint of sailors? Whoa! I knew I liked him. Arr. Here's another fun fact, and because I'm Scottish, it was another one of these who knew. The nickname Santa originated in Scotland. Yeah, cool, huh? And the Santa Claus was a result of the Dutch name, which was Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas, Sinterklaus. And that ultimately became Santa Claus. And guess what? Today is St. Nicholas Day. Yay! And it is still celebrated in parts of Europe. And so, once again, St. Nicholas Day became yet another part of that mashup holiday that is solstice and the birth of Jesus and just that mashup that we now know as December 25th, that we celebrate a number of things. And so I thought that was kind of fun. And isn't it interesting that, as is often the case, St. Nicholas has become what I would call a legend. That there are, quote-unquote, tall tales told of him that we really will never know if they were true or not. We like heroes. We like heroes. We do. And this dates all the way back to antiquity. The Greek gods, multitudes of them, with different powers and different gifts. Oh, and they each had a backstory. Who was doing what to whom, and who was mad at whom, and all of this other. It was great. It would have made great daytime drama. And yet, these gods were revered because they had what I would call supernatural, yes, beyond what we consider natural or normal, or extraordinary, meaning something beyond the commonplace and the everyday. And isn't it interesting that historical figures have often been later attributed with stories and legends, if you will, of which we will never know for sure if they were true, and some, kind of really? All right, so do we really think that George Washington chopped down the cherry tree? Does it matter? What about Abraham Lincoln and the stories associated with him? All of these stories have a point. They are evidence and an homage, if you will, to an attribute that we aspire to. Now, before we get too smug about, Greek gods, really? We know there's only one God. This Zeus, Apollo, whatever. Well, before we get too smug, let's talk about Superman, Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, Supergirl. Got to remember got to make sure we get a female presence in here. Wonder Woman. Thank you. So, like I said, before we get too glib about the Greek gods, guess what? Why do these characters resonate with us? Oh, and they all have backstories too. You read Marvel Comics, DC Comics, which I was never into, but give me Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm there, right? So we love stories about people, beings that are extraordinary and supernatural. And they represent attributes to which we aspire. We are fascinated with the stories because they are all morality tales in one form or another. And morality stories go all the way back to antiquity. The Bible is full of them. This time of year we talk about Jesus and the birth of Jesus. Was there really a virgin birth? I don't know. And it doesn't matter. What matters is what that represents. And oh, by the way, back in those days, virgin births, anyone in Roman society, a lot of the high people who were held in highest esteem, were said to have had virgin births. Not all of them, but many of them, because that was a symbol of extraordinary, ooh, there's that word again, of being an extraordinary, supernatural being. Likewise, the title of Christ was also used in the Roman society. So that if there was a person in particularly a particular high position, then they would be called so-and-so the Christ. Oh, another fun fact about St. Nicholas. In German, the word that they used, the name that they gave, translates into Christ-like. Yeah, I didn't know that either. So we love stories. You know that Sue's done a lot of research about the story of Mary Magdalene and all of the history around that. It's a very powerful story. Many of the stories in the Bible are teaching opportunities because that's how we shared history and that's how we told stories. And so the birth of Jesus was considered as a great gift. And when we look metaphysically, the birth of the Christ is metaphysically the Christed consciousness within us, and that is a gift that is given every single day. We aspire to greatness. We do. We love hearing stories about heroes. In fact, even if you look at some of the really difficult and painful things that have happened in our world, that some of the things that result from that are stories of people who have done really amazing things. And sometimes, just an aside, I feel a little sad that it takes a tragedy, a tragic loss of life, to hear the story of someone who really was a wonderful and amazing person that may not, under other circumstances, be told. In the book of John, Jesus is reported to have told his disciples and the people, know ye not that ye are gods? And that applies to each and every person. It didn't just apply to the people, his followers and his believers back then. It applies to us today. Know ye not that ye are gods? Or, hey guys, you're gods. I am. You are. Everyone is. It is our divine birthright that the Christed consciousness dwells within every being. It isn't something that we have to go out and get. It is something that we have the opportunity to reveal. Ernest Holmes reminds us time and time again that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are. Sounds supernatural. Sounds extraordinary. You think, and you can use it. And I can use it. Not just a certain someone who took a certain class or got sprinkled or smoked or saged or whatever, that got a certificate, went to the right school. No. It is within each and every one of us right now by divine right. We are gods. We have access to a power for good that is greater than any human experience. Have you ever heard someone ask the question? Sometimes they have it out on Facebook or whatever. So if you had a superpower, what would it be? Right? And people say, oh, X-ray vision, the ability to fly, being impervious to on and on and on and on and on. I'm going to let you in on something. You know what? We all have superpowers. Because we have access to the power for good in the universe that is greater than all human conditions and experience. It is ours right now, and we can use it. Now, it occurred to me the other day as I was watching the news again that if I had a superpower, the question, so if you could have a superpower, what would it be? You know what mine would be? Forgiveness. My superpower would be forgiveness, not only for myself, but for other people. And here's what that would look like. I could look at you, and immediately any thoughts of hate and resentment, any desire to do harm, would be dissolved away. And you would be able to bear witness to the magnificence of every person that you behold. To know that they were your brother or your sister. And my super forgiveness power would also allow myself and others to finally and forevermore release all past transgressions. To absolutely let go of who did what to whom 2,000 years ago. Just to let it go. And so all of that anchor, I so many times when I think of this, I really do get the image of Marley's ghost, which is kind of appropriate for this time of year. And this guy's got chains and bags and baggages. Sucks to be him. But what if In fact, that's the thing that he tells Ebenezer Scrooge. It's like, let it go, lest you be shackled with these chains. So my superpower of forgiveness can erase all resentment, all hate, all past burdens. Me too. I need forgiveness. I need my own forgiveness, possibly more than I have any desire or need to forgive another person. So you want to know something? I have that superpower. And so do you. And we're going to practice it right now. This is a lead us in the way that I learned. So I just invite you now to clear your laps and sit in your chair. Feet on the floor. Back against your chair. Just feel yourself being supported by the floor, the chair. Bring your attention to your breathing. And just with each breath, allow yourself to just sink into your divinity, to go to that special place within that is the sacred place of the Most High. And now, bring into your awareness the visage, the image of someone that you love very deeply. And this could be someone who is living or someone who has moved to their next expression of life. It could be another living creature, but a being, someone that is most dear to you, that you love. And bring their image and just gaze upon them and just allow the deep love that you feel for them, allow that to well up in your heart. Feel that love, that kindness, just all of the power of the love that you feel. And just allow yourself to fully experience it. And now, as your heart is full and overflowing with this powerful energy of love, that you've just created a force field fueled by love that is the grandest and drawing healing power in the universe. It is the power that holds the planets in their orbits and the sea within its bounds. It is more powerful than any human condition or experience. And now bring into that field someone with whom you may be experiencing a challenging relationship. And just bring that person into that force field and allow the power of your love to dissolve away whatever it is about that person or that relationship that is obstructing, that is in the way, anything that needs to be set free. Because your love is more powerful. And just notice how the image of that person is being transformed as these past incidents are released, these pent-up feelings are released, and that the barrier, that the wall is coming down. You just be with that experience for a moment. And so transformed now. Notice a smile as you now think about how wonderful it is to have released all of the stuff, the story. Now that's dissolved. Notice a smile come to your face as you now release this person and allow them to move out of your force field. And notice how in the act of releasing, that energy now is released into that force field that you've created, and it is even now more powerful. And again, feel that at your heart center, that it is just bursting. And now, your love is so powerful. It is more powerful than any human condition or experience. Knowing this, bring into your force field of love all of the places on the planet where there is so much anger and violence. You can handle it. And now notice that all of that anger and negativity and violence and hate, imagine that it is all melding together and coming together and is showing up as a black smoke. And the power of your love is so great right now that you breathe in that black smoke. And you do it without fear, because as you breathe it in, the love in your heart is transforming it. And so as you break in a breath of that acrid black smoke, It is transformed by your love, so that when you exhale, you are exhaling a blessing. And so I invite you to just take a moment and breathe in the black smoke of hate and vengeance and fear and violence, and allow the love vibration of your heart to transform it, and then exhale a blessing to the world. And you will know when you're complete with it for today. You'll know. And as you feel complete with the transformational work that you have done, just once again turn to your heart center and see how releasing and transforming all of the ugliness is creating more and more beauty. And that you are renewed in love itself. And when you're ready, and slowly and gently return your attention to this room. And I offer you this tool. When you watch the news and you hear about this stuff, that you can always take a moment and turn within and connect to that power of love within you and allow it to vibrate and grow, and then you can bring any of that into your love field and do wonderful healing and transforming work.